All right, I'm making this video because I could not find anything else like this out there, and I struggled with this for a while. So this is for all you people with heel bursitis, Haglund's deformity, something like that, and this part of your shoe irritates you a lot. If you've struggled to fix it with your PT or you're hesitant to get surgery, which there's a lot of reasons to do, but I'm not here to discuss that. Just simply cutting a hole in your shoe where it rubs is a really effective solution. So what we're going to go over today is really just figuring out where it's rubbing on your heel, how to cut it out effectively, and then even covering that up as well. So I got a brand new shoe that I'm about to do this with. First thing you want to do is put the shoe on and then feel with your finger on the outside, get an idea of where exactly it's rubbing. You can use a Sharpie or something like that, but you can usually just kind of get a general area. And then you want to start cutting right around there. So for me, for this shoe, I unfortunately am well skilled in this at this point. I know where to cut on each shoe. For me, usually it's kind of right starting about here, just on the outside edge, and I give it, a half an inch or something like that of space for the heel to kind of push into. And what you do is you just start by making very small kind of cuts like that, and you just create a groove that you can slowly dig into. So I'll start with that, and with a brand new box cutter, it's actually quite easy, and it can go through a lot of the harder material. So this one I did a little narrow, but you see you get something like that, and then you can start cutting right around there and getting as high as you need to. If you go too low, you're going to feel it when your heel lifts up. It's going to kind of dig into it. So I'm going to cut that right there. Never do too much at one time. Be very careful about where you're cutting. Don't go slashing it towards your hand. It's easy to get frustrated and try and rush it, and you don't want to ruin an expensive pair of shoes. So going to wrap it around. And the only other tool that you're going to need for this, that you only need for some pairs of shoes, not all of them, is right here, a little pair of pliers. And we'll get to that in just a moment. So you'll find that as you're cutting into these, depending on the type of shoe that you have, some will be easier than others. Usually when there's a thick heel counter, there's usually kind of a plasticky part on the inside. You can kind of see that I'm holding it right here. There's the more foamy part, and then the outer layer. You actually learn a little bit about how shoes are constructed in the process. And so you peel it out, and sometimes with this plastic piece, you want to just use the pliers and kind of yank it out of the bottom. If that's not working and it's really wedged in there, like some of the models kind of wrap it under, then you got to peel it as far back as possible and cut the harder plastic piece down there, because what's going to happen is as you're running, your foot is going to sit down on that with each step, and you'll get a pretty gnarly blister. You're not going to have a lot of fun. It might even exacerbate the issue by digging into the back of your heel. But if you cut it down far enough, it's even below the insoles that are in here, and it's not going to irritate you at all. And then make the final cut. So yeah, related to the plastic, the heel bursitis is usually just in this area, but you're going to want to cut all the way down for most shoe models, or else one of these areas is where the harder plastic is going to stick up. So unfortunately, you got to cut it all the way down most of the time, at least with most shoe models that I've worked with. And then what you can do, depending on the terrain you're running in or a race you're training for, I did Bighorn, so I had shoes that are better for mud. I was worried about all the mud getting into these shoes, so I just cut a little strip of fabric. It happened to come from a bag of straps in the garage, just any sort of fabric you find laying around. And it really works best when the shoe is brand new, so I encourage you to do that, or at least start with a clean shoe This one is not clean, as you can tell. I don't plan on doing anything crazy with it. I just want to get the miles in on it, and I don't plan on covering it up. So I'm just going to leave it like that for now, and this thin slit is going to be enough for me to just get some relief. So what you want to do here is once you have the shape cut out, you trace it on the fabric and you cut the shape, start a little too large, and then trim and keep placing it over to make sure it's going to fit over. And then you put a small layer of some sort of super glue. I use Gorilla Glue. It's worked really well for me. I'm sure there's better stuff out there. And then you press it around, and I usually use a Q-tip or something like that and just kind of smooth the edges in, try to get it all carefully on there. Do it over a paper towel or a newspaper or something, or else you'll end up with Gorilla Glue on your coffee table, which shouldn't need to be said, but I did it. So yeah, there you go. You got that strip over it. And yeah, it's annoying to do, but heel bursitis, Haglund's deformity is also annoying. It's something you might just have to live with. I'd say doing this to each pair of shoes you get is a lot better than getting surgery and maybe never being the same runner again, but leave that to your medical professionals and your PT. But if you do choose to live with it and you can't find a shoe that works for you with a soft heel counter, this is really effective, and I run in these very happily. It doesn't slow me down, and until they start selling shoes with softer heel counters, this is going to be the way you're going to have to go. So hope you enjoyed this video. Probably the only video I'll ever make. I just can't stand not finding a good resource for it. So hope that helped you guys out.